The Iowa Attorney General's office, this is the Des Moines Register. The Iowa Attorney General's office is no longer seeking the commitment of a former Midwest Christian Services student convicted of myriad sex crimes because the individual now identifies as a woman. Court records show the state dismissed the application on January 9th. Attorney General spokesman Lynn Hicks wouldn't comment on the reason for the dismissal other than to say an offender's hormone levels are an important part of substantiating an offender's likelihood of recidivism. In November, the Storm Lake Times reported that Joseph Matthew Smith, a 23-year-old convicted of molesting a fellow MCS student in 2014, was undergoing medical treatment that is needed prior to potentially undergoing gender reassignment surgery. Smith has received treatment for gender reassignment over the past 2 years at Newton Correctional Facility. She first expressed, now I'm reading the article, so I'm going to be using the pronoun she to describe this man, but every time I say she, in your head, put the scare quotes around it, okay? She first expressed a desire to get started on transgender classification in October 2017 and started using female pronouns. Smith has expressed a preference to identify as Josie, according to court documents. Hicks said that we don't believe we have evidence sufficient to prove Josie Smith has a significant chance of reoffending. An Iowa Department of Corrections spokesman said Smith was transferred on Saturday to the Sioux City Residential Treatment Facility for transitional release. Hicks cautioned the public not to overreact to Smith's upcoming release. Smith will be subject to sex offender registration for the rest of her life, Hicks said, which includes regular meetings with a probation officer and a listing on an attorney general clearinghouse. So don't worry. Yes, he's a serial sex offender, but he's going to be on a list and he's going to have meetings. So don't be concerned. Josie Smith, according to Hicks, says will be subject to strict sex offender reporting required of those who commit the crime she did. She'll be subject to supervision for the rest of her life. A preliminary report prepared by the state's expert, Dr. Jeffrey Davis, says Smith molested as many as 15 victims, ranging from ages 1 to 13, before being sentenced to prison in December 2015. The report found the likelihood of reoffending within 5 years of release exceeded 20% because victims were of both genders and because Smith was under the age of 25 and never had a long-term relationship. Smith has not had an intimate relationship, the report says. His sexual encounters appeared to have primarily involved molestation, including his own molestation by multiple perpetrators or his victimization of others. He was molested as a child starting at the age of 7. Okay. And then it goes on from there. I'm saying if there's any other details here that are important. Dr. Tracy Thomas, a forensic psychologist, said that the statute that outlines civil commitment requires the state to essentially prove an offender has a chance offending greater than 51% for the rest of his life. That becomes harder to prove when an offender significantly lowers his testosterone levels, which has a significantly higher impact on sex drive than estrogen. Okay. Where do we even begin? As I said, there are many layers of this putrid, rancid onion. So in no particular order, let's start here. First of all, it's not even true that this dude, this male individual, this male scumbag, I should say, it's not true that he's less likely to reoffend because he transitioned to a female, quote unquote. That's simply not true. In fact, they actually did a study on this, a legitimate study, the longest and most involved study of its kind as far as I know, where it involved 324 people over the course of 30 years. And they looked at whether there was any change in several different things, but including criminality, reduction in crime, including violent crimes, for transgenders who transition from male to female. And they found that these male to females retain the same rate of violent crime as regular males. Probably because they're still male at the end of the day. Second, even if it was true, it's beside the point. Even if it was true that his chances of reoffending have now been somewhat or even significantly diminished because he's on these hormone pills, that would still be beside the point. It's irrelevant. because we're missing something here, and it's a big thing, and that thing is called justice. The point of prison is not simply to segregate dangerous people so that when they're supposedly not dangerous anymore, we can release them. That's not the whole point. That's part of the point. Segregation of dangerous people is part of the point of prison. It's not the entire point. Not even close to the entire point. And it's not the main point. If it was, then why is somebody like, I don't know, Bernie Madoff still in prison? He's probably not a danger to anybody anymore. Is he still, if he's still alive? Is he still alive? I'm not sure. But if he is, he's probably not a danger to anybody anymore. Yeah, he scammed hundreds of people out of their life savings, but probably he wouldn't be able to do it again after he's famous for doing it the first time. And so release him from prison, put him on a scam artist registry, and then he can go about his life. We could have a registry for everything. A murderer registry, car thief registry. No need for prisons anymore. In fact, with murder, think about it just as a hypothetical example, but one that has many analogous cases. Think about someone, say a man in his 50s, who murders his wife in a fit of passion after finding out that she cheated on him, okay? What are the chances that that guy will kill somebody else? He's not a serial killer. He's not even necessarily a psychopath. Let's say he lived the first 50 years of his life, never hurt anybody. So what are the chances that he does it again? Probably less than, I would say significantly less than 50%. So if you're letting this guy out of prison, why put people who murder others in a crime of passion in prison? Their risk of killing again is pretty low, probably. Well, that doesn't work. Because, for one thing, being on a registry, having your name on a database, doesn't do a single damn thing to prevent you from committing a crime. For another, it's not only about crime prevention, it's about justice. Justice matters too, a lot. It matters a lot. Hey, you, you right there. Hit the subscribe button right now. Do it right now. I thank you for your compliance. It's somewhat appreciated.